how does the AI accountant process work? There are 3 steps to our process, and it starts with the conversation with our patient, insightful AI robot. Now, before I go further, I want to emphasize a key distinction. You as a business owner, think about your business objectives, and then you set goals, and then as you're trying to achieve those goals, you hit challenges, and then you overcome those challenges, and then you have a solution to the problem. Now, HMRC kind of approaches this entirely in reverse. They start with the solution to the problem, which they call an advance in science or technology. And then they step back from there to the uncertainties that you had in finding that solution. And then they step back from there to what were the business justifications for having this project and running into those uncertainties. And this is why it can be difficult getting your head around these R&D tax relief claims. And this is why an entire industry of R&D tax credit consultants has popped up. It's to help people get their head around the way you have to explain your projects to HMRC. But this then leads back to our 3-step process. So, first, you enter into a conversation with our patient insightful AI robot. It asks you questions about your research and development project or projects, and it makes sure that they meet all of the requirements. Now, it's not uncommon for initially your projects to not meet the requirements because you're emphasizing the wrong aspect, you're glossing over details that you think are unimportant, but that's why it's useful to have this conversation, this back and forth, where you're asking questions and it's asking questions so that you can really focus in on the core issues to assess whether the project qualifies. This conversation is in 7 phases. And as you progress, if you find that you've talked yourself into a corner, you can step back a step or 2 and kind of change the emphasis until you really get your head around how to describe this project to meet the requirements. Your conversation is entirely confidential. During the conversation, you're never asked to name your business, to name yourself, or anything like that. We need your email address for login and security purposes. Second, after you finish the conversation, assuming you've convinced the AI that your project qualifies for R&D tax credits, the AI then writes a first draft of answers to the 5 meaty questions on HMRC's additional information form. What you'll find is that these 5 answers constitute the bulk of your R&D tax credit claim. And so the second step is for you to review those answers and to tweak them as necessary to increase the importance of certain items, add in details, and make other minor adjustments. Now, with the clear understanding of your R&D projects and the uncertainties that you resolved, also as part of step 2, we then go through the 8 potential categories of claims. So that's staff, subcontractors, externally supplied workers, sometimes known as agency staff, clinical trial volunteers, cloud hardware, software purchases and licenses, data licenses, and any materials or things consumed as part of your testing or prototyping. So the AI walks you through those categories and you can begin to decide, do you have qualifying expenses? This is the first time then that we start asking specific details about your company because we want to collect all of the information necessary in one place to make it easier to fill in the online forms. The final step then is that the AI robot produces 2 documents. The first is a list of all of the questions and your answers for the online additional information form to make that straightforward to fill in. And the second is a completed CT600L form, which has the final numbers that you can put onto your corporate tax return. In summary, the 3 steps are, first, you have a conversation with our AI robot so that it and you fully understand what the R&D projects that you're talking about and that they qualify. Then the second step is you review those 5 answers and tweak them as necessary to make sure that they're as clear as possible. And then using that understanding, you think about and walk through the 8 categories of expenses to identify the qualifying expenses related to your R&D project. At the same time, we ask some questions about your company. And then the third step, the AI robot produces 2 documents. One, the 50 questions and answers for the online additional information form to make filling in that form, completing that form a breeze. And the second is a completed CT600L form, which you then file with your corporate taxes.